bass player. Adam was already the bass player, so it was weird. They told me they wanted me to sing. I guess Stigma saw me going crazy on the dance floor and figured that's what he needed me to do. Back then, as long as you looked good going crazy, that was enough. That's how it used to be. No experience necessary. I don't even think he asked me to try out. He just told me, I really want you to be in the band. He knew I was already with the Psychos, but at the time, people were always in multiple bands. It didn't matter because we were all in it for the scene. So it wasn't like, oh, you're stealing somebody from my band. Nobody thought about touring. Nobody ever thought about anything more than just having fun and playing some songs. That's it. We eventually got together and started to rehearse at this little dungeon down by Vinnie, somewhere in NoHo. We would close the door and it would be steaming hot. Ray B's would be wearing 7 layers of clothes. By the time we were done, he was down to just his underwear. We were doing songs that we each already had and brought to the group. We'd all gravitated towards this American skinhead thing. That was our style. That's what Negative Approach was doing, and what SSD was doing, and what Minor Threat was doing. It wasn't like the UK skinhead look. It was more our own thing. We didn't have Doc Martens. You had to mail order those things from England back then. Who had the money to do that? I still have my zipper combat boots. That's what we wore. But then, being that we were in New York, it became edgier. At the time, we were more punk rock. We still had mohawks and spiked hair and stuff like that, but the scene was changing over to the American hardcore vibe those bands were doing. The whole skinhead thing was about trying to disassociate ourselves from the traditional punks that were like, fuck the world, fuck everything, live fast, die young. We, not just Agnostic Front, but SSD, Minor Threat, Negative Approach, were all moving to disassociate from that and create our own thing. We were definitely fuck this, fuck that, but it was not about destroying everything. It was more like, let's make a difference. Let's make a change. We were the younger generation. Later on, we even disassociated ourselves from what we became. The UK skinhead thing became really heavy, and we needed to separate ourselves from that also. You know the lyrics. United and strong, blacks and white, punks and skins. That's where we were coming from. Vinnie played guitar. He actually used to be the bass player with the Eliminators, and then he switched to guitar. He had all the gear, too. Everything for everybody. Nobody else owned anything. He had bass gear, then he decided to get his guitar and an amp. He bought the drums. We would just take it all to CBGB and play, then back again. Vinnie's drum kit was the house drum kit at CB's for the longest, A7 too. As far as Vinnie's playing style, as a guitarist, it was great. There wasn't and still isn't anyone like him. He had this unique way of playing. I mean, if you notice, a lot of songs on United Blood and Victim in Pain are completely out of tune. If you were to ask Don Fury, he'd tell you that he had the hardest time trying to keep Vinnie's guitar in tune. It wasn't the guitar, it was the way Vinnie plays. He grabs those strings and bends the shit out of them. His pinky is always floating behind the fretboard. He's also pressing his thumb through the fretboard on the backside. All the other fingers, minus his pinky, are counter-pressuring from the other side. It's wild. But back then, people didn't really care how great a musician anyone was. Agnostic Front was not a great band musically. We were like watching a controlled train wreck. It was about the show, and we got that from Stigma. You had to watch what was going on. It was theatrical more than anything. We were a laughingstock as far as musicianship, but in the end, we prevailed over all the other early New York hardcore bands because we were genuine. We were real people doing real things. It wasn't about the best technical playing or politics or any of this other bullshit. It was just about, hey, you want to see a real fucking band? This is real hardcore. These guys are nuts. They're jumping on you, they're doing all this stuff, and they're barely playing the fucking song. A funny story about our song Power from Victim in Pain. It was introduced to us by Vinnie right before we recorded that album. It had originally been an Eliminator song, and we loved it. It was a bit odd for us because we were more classic American hardcore punk, and Power was our version of an oi kind of thing. I don't know what possessed me to yell Stigma just before the lead Vinnie plays. I created a fucking monster with that. I created my own Eddie from Iron Maiden just by yelling Stigma during that song. Seriously, it was just me having fun and being a jerk. Like Stigma, my guitar hero. It kind of turned him into one. Around the time of Victim in Pain, I can remember the day I felt like Vinnie and I were finally...